What's going on, my beautiful people? You better buckle up, because you're in for another wild ride. You already know how we do on this channel. These videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research on everything. These are just theories, not facts, for context. With that being said, oxygen levels.
Oxygen levels are at 100% bucko.
Set a course to Dark Waters 9.
Hidden in plain sight is a stone project so massive, modern machines still struggle to explain it. This is the Shan Quarry, home to the largest megalithic structures ever carved. Some of these unfinished stone steles weigh up to 16,000 tons. They were being cut and prepared to move, using ancient tools, centuries before modern engineering. Then suddenly, the work stopped. Still resting in Shan Quarry, these giants remain where history left them, unfinished and unexplained. Hidden in plain sight is a stone project so massive, modern machines still struggle to
I mean, just taking a look at this 100%, they were definitely trying to solar laser a giant slab off the side of this mountain, for crying out loud. Like, you guys know me, I be yelling airships, but can it really handle something that's 16,000 tons? Like, you would need a super massive airship to carry that multiples at the same time. I'm just trying to figure out how they transport it, because you would need a whole football team of giants, I feel like, to, you know, get their lift on to transport this. Especially if they plan on going like hundreds of miles away. There ain't no way. Make it make sense. And check out the underbelly. They were a couple strokes away from getting this thing lifted up, weren't they? I feel like all they had to do was just cut that little end piece right there, and then that thing was going to fall, or if it was ready for takeoff.
Most underrated rabbit hole, South Korea by far. South Korea has the largest concentration of dolmens anywhere. All of the megalithic monuments in Europe combined doesn't even equal the amount of dolmens in Korea. There is a field of standing stones like Karnak. This enormous dolmen looks exactly like Rumi in Peru, except it has a gate like the monuments in Lycia. Korea. Lycia. This had to be pure entertainment for the Koreans. Who does that? There's a documentary made a couple years ago of some people in Denmark trying to recreate one of these dolmen. And they made it work with a 9-ton stone. Except these are over 100. Now, if you have an engineering background, you'll know why this is crazy. Friction is exponential, so the higher you go up in weight, the difficulty multiplies, where most people think it just goes in a straight line. And if you have these nice little cartoons, that makes a whole bunch of sense. But just adding more people is a linear way of solving this problem. The last time we did this, we used machines that use exponential leverage. They did this so many times. UNESCO has World Heritage Zones for Korea, not sites. I've been cataloging all of these for Hidden History. If you have it, that's a free update. But they did it so many times, it's making it very difficult. The tomb idea for these, absolute nonsense. This is a very insecure way of burying a body. But we have some new research on these, and what we really think they're for is most underrated rabbit hole.
Interesting. I never heard about those. I heard of Stonehenge, but they're telling me they got a Korean Stonehenge? That's fascinating.
Okay, serious question. Do you turn your Wi-Fi off at night? Do you know the effects of Wi-Fi? Well, check this out.
Is going to be exposed to high levels, and the whole reason that we've covered them in tinfoil is because the environment of this classroom is filled with that. Right, so we had to try to isolate the plants inside of there and not let the Wi-Fi get in there.
I don't really know if it'll affect anything because, like, I grow plants in my, like, I have Wi-Fi in my house and I grow plants all the time and they grow fine. It's gonna die.
You think so?
Yeah.
it blew my mind that the Wi-Fi off, like, the plants are growing.
Yeah.
But Wi-Fi on, the plants are growing. So I think that when the Wi-Fi's on, it's affecting the world. Like, affecting the whole entire world.
Speaking about Wi-Fi, look at this air. Kind of similar, wouldn't you think? You could see the ripples. They definitely playing the musical instruments 100%. Because look at the ripples. It's not supposed to do that if you ask me.
So the lab results are in from the crazy snowfall in Texas. Let's have a look at these water samples. Aluminum, 41.7, high levels of aluminum, high levels of barium, high levels of strontium, lead, and mercury, sulfur, which is normal, nitrates, and then the pH. Now, how is it that our snow is so high in these heavy metals? How is it possible that there's such high levels of aluminum, barium, lead, mercury in our snow that our children are eating that's going into our ground? Perhaps this is the reason right here, because they are dousing our skies with, they have been for a long time.
All this aluminum and Bayal in the air, it's got to come down. What goes up must come down.
This was an 1862 news article. Barnum's Museum Grand National Baby Show, 100 beautiful babies will be on exhibition for prizes for which upwards of $2,000 cash will be distributed. So this is just a show for 100 beautiful babies, which makes me wonder, like, what the heck was happening in the 1800s where babies were such like a rarity that you could have a show of them. I mean, apparently they were all premature. They were all destitute children and whatnot, but you could just have a traveling show of just babies and, you know, afford to have a $2,000 cash prize as well. Kobe, did nobody ask, where are the parents? Did the parents agree for you to display these babies? These babies look premature. Where are the parents? So really, by my research, no. To be frank, everybody, I mean, in the mainstream today praises him as a complete hero, like one of the heroes of modern medicine. There seems to be very little pushback or very little information, or people are like, hey, where's all these parents? Where's these, where did these kids come from? Like, how did you get all these premature babies to show off in all these World's Fairs for almost 50 years? None of it makes sense, no. And what makes even less sense to me, and why I've always kind of pushed very deeply into this subject, is why nobody seems to be pushing those questions. Yeah, there's a lot of money lost. So this was an 1862 news article.
If this popped off in 1862, that $2,000 cash, that would be like $70,000 in today's money. So they had some change to throw around as well.
Eighth sign will completely reframe everything you thought you knew about your own mental architecture. Right now, as you're listening to this, your mind is processing information in a way that 99% of people literally cannot understand. Carl Jung spent decades studying minds like yours, and by the end of this video, you'll discover if you're part of that rare 1% who thinks in patterns most people can't even perceive. But here's what Jung discovered that will shake you to your core. These rare minds don't just think differently, they operate on what I call psychological frequencies that exist beyond ordinary consciousness. And if you've always felt like an outsider looking in, like you're speaking a foreign language even in your native tongue, there's a scientific reason why. Jung documented 8 unmistakable patterns in these extraordinary minds. The 8th sign will completely reframe everything you thought you knew about your own mental architecture. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal isn't just psychology. It's the roadmap to understanding why your mind has always felt like it belongs to a different species. Loneliness becomes depth. The anxiety becomes sensitivity. The grief becomes compassion. Third, Jung suggested authentic experimentation. Try activities you've never considered before, not to become good at them, but to discover what resonates with your emerging self. Maybe writing, gardening, cooking, walking, or simply sitting in silence. Jung called this active imagination, allowing your authentic self to explore new forms of expression without the pressure of mastery or achievement. The goal isn't to find new hobbies, it's to discover new ways your true nature wants to move through the world.
I was actually thinking about getting into painting, you know, like being able to draw some trees, a moon behind it. What's that guy's name? They used to have an afro that, you know, always teach the people how to paint. Like, you know, watch one of his episodes, you know, and try to make a nice painting, you know, or get into a bow staff. I always wanted to know how to, you know, use a bow staff, you know, but it's too cold out. I have to let it warm up. And the third hobby I was going to try is that, what was it, that water drum? You guys know what I'm talking about. It's that, like a metal drum that has indentations in it, and it plays like that magical music. You know, those are 3 excellent hobbies that I wanted to get into myself when I get a little bit of free time. Drop some hobbies down in the comments you might want to try with your new awakening. A flute would be nice too, you know, one of those blow flutes, you know. Hey.
This has been concealed for centuries. The real purpose of the Eiffel Tower is something far beyond what you've been told. Most people believe it's nothing more than a symbol of Parisian culture or a product of the industrial era. The truth? The Eiffel Tower was designed as a massive antenna, an instrument for wireless electricity experiments, and its secrets could have revolutionized the world. The year was 1889, and the tower was unveiled at the Paris World's Fair, touted as a temporary exhibit. But here's where it gets strange. The true intent behind this engineering marvel was hidden in plain sight. Nikola Tesla visited Paris in the 1880s. During his stay, he met with Gustave Eiffel and shared his groundbreaking vision for a world powered by free, wireless energy. Tesla had already proven with his Wardenclyffe Tower that electricity could be transmitted wirelessly across vast distances. Eiffel, utterly fascinated by Kessler's revolutionary ideas, took these principles and incorporated them into the design of the Eiffel Tower. This was not just about aesthetics. This was about power, real power. During the tower's construction, strange phenomena were reported. Electromagnetic anomalies, unexplained lights, and strange sparks were seen surrounding the tower. Locals spoke of nighttime experiments, and some even claimed to have witnessed orbs of light dancing around the structure. Why hasn't this been exposed? This has been concealed for centuries.
You gotta admit, the Eiffel Tower definitely is interesting. Do you think they just made that for just a monument? That big giant metal structure, do you think they made that just for people to be in awe and look at? No, that was either a mooring station for airships or some type of giant antenna like they're talking about, or they were going to convert it into that Wardenclyffe Tower that Tesla had to produce electricity free for everyone. In 1994, a Manitou area resident named Robert Klein recorded a strange object moving silently over the tree line, later shared the footage with local outlets.
Oh my god, what is that? It's just sitting there, it's not making a sound. I swear that's not a plane. It's moving. Oh man. Oh my god, what is that? It's just sitting there. It's not.
This is before AI was even created. Well, I'm sure they had it, but not everyone had access to it. But this UFO is definitely suspect. How it has the red and green lights, you know, like the aliens needed air traffic control signals.
It's not making a sound. I swear that's not a plane. It's moving. Oh man.
Yeah, that blinking red and green light is throwing me off. There's no way they put that on an alien ship. You guys know what time it is. If you thought I was going to hit you with another excellent specimen of the day, think again, bucko. Hi, Houston. Alright guys, I need names. What would you name this? And give it a rating. If I had to rate this, I'd give it a... For the originality, color, and overall specimen, I'll give it a 9.1. And I would call this the Tainted pineapple. Tainted pineapple. What would you guys name it? And drop a rating below. This is a good one.
The creepiest story I have ever heard is an unusual case where it is scary if it actually happened, and if it didn't happen, it's probably even scarier. If it doesn't seem like that makes sense, allow me to explain. So you've seen this depiction of aliens before, right? With the big black eyes, they sometimes call them grays. Well, those aliens and the entire concept of being abducted onto a UFO and then put on a table to be examined with probes and things like that, all of that came from a single story. In the 1960s, a couple named Betty and Barney Hill claimed that that happened to them. They were the very first. It is my personal opinion that they were not, in fact, abducted into a spaceship. I think the reality is weirder than that. It was September of 1961. The couple lived in New Hampshire. They did a road trip up to Niagara Falls, then Montreal. Then they were driving back home late at night. On the way back, while driving through some mountains, they saw a light in the sky that seemed to move around the sky in an erratic pattern. They kept stopping and getting out to try to get a closer look. The light, they said, eventually came down right on top of their car, and then their memories kind of become scrambled. They were missing some time, because by the time they got home, it was almost dawn, like they had lost a couple of hours somewhere. Then, in the following weeks, she would start to have dreams of her and her husband being led through the woods to a craft. She starts reading about UFOs, kind of trying to research it and figure out what had happened to them. But it's important to note that they did not go to the press. They didn't tell really anybody. They did not try to cash in. They didn't write a book. The only people they told was the local Air Force base saying, hey, we think there's something in the sky. Then a couple of years later, she seeks out a hypnotherapist to go under hypnosis and try to recover the memories of that night. And then they both recover memories of the big-eyed aliens with the big black eyes, of being put onto an exam table and having needles pressed into them. Under hypnosis, he starts screaming, saying that it felt like a pair of eyes had been pressed into his brain from the outside to see inside of his mind. And it is from that, from those sessions and from their drawings they made, that we get this, the gray. These aliens that you can now see everywhere, from Close Encounters of the Third Kind to South Park. So what do I think happened? People have retraced their trip down Route 3, and at the exact spot where they saw a light in the sky, there is an observation tower with an aircraft warning light.
They said not this one, but I'm like, damn, they really trying to catch it, aren't they?
At the top of it. It's a winding mountain road, and as you wind back and forth in pitch darkness, the light seems to go from one side of the sky to the other in an erratic pattern. They had been driving all day. They were utterly exhausted. They had just stopped at a restaurant to down some coffee to try to stay awake to get home. They actually hadn't planned to do that. They just didn't have the money for a hotel, and they were trying to get home before some bad weather came in. The dreams Betty had about being led through the woods were just dreams. They weren't memories coming back to her. And the memories they recovered during hypnosis, well, you actually can't recover memories during hypnosis. That's pseudoscience. What you can do during hypnosis is implant a memory. People are highly suggestive under hypnosis. As for the big-eyed aliens, well, 12 days before they went in to do their hypnosis sessions, a sci-fi TV show called The Outer Limits ran an episode featuring aliens that looked like that. Again, this was not an intentional hoax.
Did you guys see what that alien looked like? Hold the phone. They put a gray Fruit of the Loom hoodie on this dude and cut some holes and weared it in reverse, if you ask me. They took a hoodie like this, spun it around, put the hood up, put some eyes in the back. Oh my goodness.
Like that.
Again, this was not an intentional hoax. The story would only go public years later against their will. But once it did, there was a book, there was a movie, there were articles and interviews. And in the decades since, thousands of people would claim to have been abducted, usually by these Greys, usually following the same template as Betty and Barney Hill's story. But all of these only happen in places where they have access to television and movies. At the time they had their experience, the concept of being abducted by a UFO was basically totally unknown. Now everybody is aware of it. Most people believe that Earth has been visited by aliens due to stories like this. So the story is very, very creepy if true, obviously. But if it's not true, then that means that there is something that billions of people believe all around the world. Some people believe it mind, body, and soul. That you have an international cultural myth that might persist for centuries. And at the heart of it, you have nothing. Just a couple of sleep-deprived people who worked each other into a panic, and then one woman had a dream, and a guy saw a TV show, and accidentally created an idea so compelling that it spread all around the world like a mind virus.
Shout out to Jason for this incredible story. I've never heard that. Aliens was created by a science fiction show, and everybody just ran with it. So what is everybody seeing then? I personally never seen no aliens. I only seen a couple things in the sky, to be honest. I've seen a purple comet in the sky. It just burned up. It was a purple streak. I seen a green streak crash into some woods while I was driving in the highway. It just was like a green streak crash into the woods. This happened recently, honestly. I feel like that happened like 5 months ago. I'm on the highway. It's nighttime. I'm on my way home. I look to the left. I just see this. It's like I catch it at the corner of my eye. The best way I can describe it, it was a green streak. It looked like a comet, but it definitely hit the ground. I didn't see any impact or no shockwave or nothing like that. It just went behind the tree line and it just faded away. But it definitely hit the ground. I was like, man, I wonder if I go drive around there, if I could see what that was. You know, it was kind of like that. Those were the two main things I've seen. Of course, I've seen regular shooting stars. Sometimes if the sky is really clear, you can see like a little white dot. Some people say, oh, those are just FBI drones. Just, you know, just cruising in the sky. You know what I'm saying? I wave at them sometimes. But, I'd never seen no alien. And those UFOs, you know, those were suspect. What I seen, it didn't have any type of maneuver pattern, like a zigzag, a J, a shot one way. Every time I seen something, it just was like a straight line. So, hey, that's just my thoughts on it. I ain't never seen no abduction or no alien. You know, could everybody be making this up? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
For educational and entertainment purposes only. That looked like a UFO, right? Yeah. But you see, that is one of the quote-unquote moons that are made out of the rings of Saturn for educational entertainment purposes only. Now, that begs the question, what about the moon in our skies? Well, it comes from there too, and it was brought here to oppose the sun. Yeah. For educational entertainment purposes only. That looked like a...
It's crazy that they can zoom in and see this, though, inside one of the rings. I'm not too sure about everything else, but it definitely is interesting.
Do you know what most angels have attached to their name? El, from Elohim. You know, like Michael, Gabriel, Azazel, Uriel. I wonder if they're trying to tell us something here. Only I don't think they're your guardian angels. I think they're more of the fallen variety. But we'll get back to this in a second. First, I got to build a case. And my case starts all the way back in 1892, where Ingersoll Lockwood wrote a book called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. You can see right here, the Library of Congress, 1892. Library of Congress, 1892. And I actually just noticed right now, it's October 14th, 1892. Do you know what that date is? It just happens to be Charlie Kirk Day, which wasn't part of this story, but boy, does it add more fuel to my fire that you will soon see. But back to the book for a second, because not only did Ingersoll Lockwood write this book,
Tyler, this dude Tyler is unstoppable, man. Talk to us, man. What's going on, man? Look at him. He's unstoppable. He's got that look like, man, I'm about to piece this together. Y'all ain't ready. Tyler, I'm not, man. I'm all ears, though.
Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. No, he also wrote another one called The Last President, that just happens to have a character named Don in it, who takes over as a tumultuous country is going through it. Oh, but there's still another book. This one called The Mars Project, which was written by Wernher von Braun, the director of NASA during all the moon missions. And it was written in 1952. And in this book, it just happens to talk about how a man named Elon will colonize Mars. Now, so far, other than Barron and Ingersoll Lockwood, I've talked about these 4 individuals: Wernher von Braun, Elon, Elvis, and Donald. Now, let me show you something, how they're all connected. I'll take you back just 50 years now, to May 30th, 1975, where Elvis performed at the Wernher von Braun Civic Center in Huntsville, Alabama. So 50 years ago, on May 30th, Elvis was performing at the Von Braun Civic Center. And while I always like to tell you they leave us hints and they tell us the truth in plain sight, let me fast forward exactly 50 years for you. Where on May 30th, 2025, Donald Trump held a farewell for Elon Musk at the White House. It was a big celebration and they parted ways on good terms. Funny that it was exactly 50 years later, to the day, that Elvis performed at the Von Braun Civic Center. That Elvis performed at the Von Braun Civic Center. Now, here's where I lose about 90% of you still in the Matrix people watching this. Maybe, just maybe, these two are the same. And these two are the same. And they can write these books because they're fallen angels and literally don't die. And this isn't speculation. I'm going to prove it to you. Now, I don't know if they can shapeshift or if they can do facial procedures, but I know one thing. They literally live longer than you and I. That's the same person. Elon is Wernher. And Wernher could write the book because he knew ahead of time the role he was going to take on. And probably through AI, which isn't artificial intelligence, it's angelic intelligence.
I hear him. Okay, I see the correlation. I see it.
They probably have the script written out for them. If you're still with me, I encourage you to keep watching because, yes, their faces are very symmetrical down to where the eyebrows and the eyes and the nose and the lips are. But that's not evidence. No, what's evidence is facial markings, because while they might be fallen angels that can shapeshift, for some reason, their facial markings remain. They have the exact holes in their face right there. You can even see some droop to their eye in the exact same spot. And then another mark there and another mark there. And this continues for 8 different facial markings that are the exact same. And I'm going to show you the exact same with Elvis and Don L. Now let's see what else we can find. Oh, it just had a giant hole in his head, big scar that they did some work to, but it's still there. And move on to the next. I see them already. These two seem to match up exactly with these two. Get out of your way. You got to ask yourself, what are the odds? What are the odds? 0. Literally 0. Especially when you come down and there's even more. 2 looks like moles there that got removed and now they are scars. Maybe they're just...
I can kind of see this part. But the rest is a little suspect, but I can kind of see this.
Vampires and drink the Abrenobrome. But I think there's more to that. But there's one thing for sure. They live a long time, so they can write stuff and predict stuff and then just make it happen. And it's the same on these two, with the exact same two markings right there, right under the center point, and the exact two right there, which is right under the center point of his lip. And there's more. The exact same scar right there and right there.
Wow. I didn't think I was going to believe it when he first said this, but this is adding up a little bit. It's adding up a little bit.
Funny how their lips match up pretty perfectly. They just took a little bit of collagen out of his. And I've literally showed this one dozens of times, but the exact same, and the exact same, and the exact same, and the exact same, and you can see who they belong to. Oh, and they always leave their mark because the fallen angels, a third of them fell, which is 0.33. You want to see what I found in the corners? And hey, that kind of looks like a 3 if you just turned it. Check this out. Well, that kind of looks like a point, a 3, a 3, and a 3. And this one even has a C next to the 3, so 33 just on its own. They tell us. They leave their mark. That's not a coincidence. He didn't predict anything. He just is him. And they're deceiving people greatly, mostly into thinking that we live on a spinning ball and that the Heavenly Father isn't real and that you evolved from a chimp. Well, once you see that these vampires, fallen angels, whatever they are just deceiving the entire world, and you see through them, well, you get on the right path, the one away from their lies. And you stop thinking the Simpsons predict things and that this is predicting things. They were so clairvoyant. No, it's predictive programming by undying monsters that hate God and want to either make you worship them so much so you don't worship God or make you think he doesn't exist. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. I'm sure that their names just start with L by coincidence. Just like it's a coincidence that Ellen just happens to look exactly like Henry David Thoreau, who lived hundreds of years ago.
Hold on. What? Oh, but I thought it was Abe Lincoln at first. What the heck?
Ellen just happens to look exactly like Henry David Thoreau, who lived hundreds of years ago. And Denzel Washington just happens to look exactly like Robert Johnson, who is known for selling his soul to get good at music. Yep, I'm a satire count, and I don't really think that Elvis purposely looked like angels with all his capes there either. Just like it's also a total coincidence that Elvis happens to just look like the original Statue of Liberty face, which is actually the statue of Lucifer.
They do look alike.
But nah, they're not fallen angels that don't die and can turn others into fallen angels by drinking their fallen angel blood, and then they have to drink Abrenobrome to stay youthful and young. No, that doesn't really happen. Satire count, entertainment only, people. Have a good day.
That's all we have for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Find the bell icon, turn notifications to all so you won't miss an episode. Your boy's being more consistent, getting back to my every single day. So be sure you like your boy out, help hype me up. And I just want to say thank you. The code word for today is deep dive. Go ahead and drop deep dive in the comments below. When you do that, that lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way through the episode and you really rock. You really rock with your boy. And I just want to say thank you for everything. I love you guys, and I'm going to see you soon over on Jet Ski Chuck. This was the most mysterious episodes on the internet today. See you later.